Hello, I'm Don Phipps, Superintendent of the Caldwell County Schools, and I'll be your host for this episode of Caldwell County Schools Profiles. And we are recording in early February of 2022, and this is an important time in the school system, particularly for families and students that are looking at enrollment and registration, primarily in the areas of kindergarten and pre-K or preschool, which we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind everyone that our window is open for transfers. We've talked about this in previous Profiles episodes, but that window opened in mid-January. It'll be open through the month of February, and this would be for any family who wants to enroll a student in a school that is not their home school. The formal word for that is where a child is domiciled. That's what the law says, is where a student has to attend school. But our county has an open enrollment period for schools of choice, and we allow our families to do that. We have some schools right now that are closed for transfer. They're Davenport Elementary, Lower Creek Elementary, Valmead Elementary, and two middle schools, William Lenore and Granite Falls Middle Schools, are closed for transfers. Also, we need to remind everyone that even if a student is currently a student that's a transfer student in a school, you still need to fill the paperwork out. This allows us to have annual information to know what our transfer patterns look like. And also, students need to be in good standing. For those that are attending high school, there are some implications possibly for athletic participation, and I would encourage you to look at Policy 3621 for that information. But our program today will focus on kindergarten enrollment and registration and preschool enrollment and registration. And I'm going to begin. I have a guest with me, Helena Van Horn, who's a coordinator for preschool. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
And before I get any further in, preschool and pre-K, when we talk about those terms, are they interchangeable or do we need to be using one over the other?
Most people just see them as interchangeable, so we use whichever they ask about.
Okay, so when we talk about pre-K, that's what I'm going to call it as we're talking here. When we talk about pre-K students, who are those students?
In North Carolina, pre-K students are those who are at least 4 years old by August 31st of the school year, and they're eligible to apply for NC pre-K programs across the state, and we enroll children who are in our county first because there are a limited number of slots.
So what does pre-K look like in Caldwell County?
Right now in Caldwell County, we have sites at 12 schools and 16 community partner sites, and we have 23 classrooms. So some of those sites have more than one classroom.
So when we talk about what we have enrolled in the school system, what are the numbers, where are they located, what does the class makeup look like in terms of student-teacher ratio, that type thing?
In the school system, we have a classroom or two classrooms in all schools except for Lower Creek and West Lenore right now. We have 4 community sites, and those are Northside Learning Center in Lenore, A New Beginning, which is situated behind the Education Center, and in the southern end of the county in Granite Falls, we have Countryside. And each of those use the same criteria to apply for the school system and for the community site at the same time. Our online enrollment is open at caldwellschools.com/preschool.
What about age and qualification for students?
Students need to be at least 4 by August the 31st of 2022 to enroll. And we have no other qualification that is a minimal requirement. NC pre-K does have qualifications based on income, but it's for both lower income families and middle class families to help them with their children coming into a formally structured program.
So what does the enrollment and registration process involve, and then is there a selection criteria?
There is. Enrollment is completing an application, and the application is a joint application with Head Start. So you can apply for both programs and not have to go through that program enrollment multiple times. The criteria, we enter the information into an online portal, and it lets us know whether people qualify. It's an online portal determined by the state. Locally, we do have some additional criteria that give a weighted score so that we can put the children who have the most need in those classrooms first, because we don't currently have enough classrooms for everybody.
So when would parents be notified?
First round placements are going to happen in May, so that those families would be notified, and then we continue taking applications all year long.
So what would and I know typical is probably not a real word in education because there aren't 2 days that are exactly the same. But for a parent who may be looking and thinking about pre-K for their child, what does a typical day in one of our pre-K classrooms involve?
Children come in, and the very beginning of the day, they start learning about school routines and structures. So there are expectations for students to become more independent as the year progresses. It helps them learn what they need to do for school, learning to get in a line, learning how to go to the bathroom by themselves, wash their hands, learning how to sit still, learning how to raise their hand, normal things people think of when they think of going to school.
And the benefits of the pre-K program or being involved in it from a student perspective?
Children get the opportunity to continue learning in a play-based environment. So while there's structure, it is also fun. They don't realize they're learning ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. They're also learning how to get along with their peers and how to work through problems and when they're having issues with those friends. A lot of children and families don't think about how school looks today, so even our youngest children have to learn to work together to participate in schoolwork.
The social skills are critical, particularly when they get into kindergarten classrooms.
Yes.
That's very important. What contact information and location of office information would you like to share with our viewers who may want to know a little bit more?
The Preschool Readiness Center is located in Lenoir. We are in the old William Lenoir Middle School building, which is the campus of Horizons Elementary right now. And our phone number is 828-726-3920, or they can go to caldwellschools.com/preschool.
We appreciate your time. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
We hope this has been informative. If you are a parent with a child who is pre-K age, we hope you'll follow up on some of that information, and we hope that you'll apply and enroll in our pre-K program. We'll take a short break. I hope you'll come back and join me on the set. When we return, will be Dr. Lisa Widener. Thank you for joining us again. And on the set, we have Dr. Lisa Widener. She's the Director of Federal Programs and Elementary Education with the Caldwell County Schools. Thank you for being here, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
And I owe you a happy birthday. Today's your birthday.
Thank you.
So what a great birthday treat to have you on television.
I don't know about that,
We
but
appreciate you being here.
thank you.
We just finished up a topic on our previous segment about pre-K and the registration enrollment process. And we know that this also applies for children that are kindergarten age. So can you share with our viewers a bit about our kindergarten program and what they would need to do to get involved? I want to talk about the enrollment and registration, but then also the value and the activities that are involved in a typical kindergarten classroom in our county.
Absolutely. Well, the criteria for an enrolling kindergartner is they must turn 5 years old on or before August 31st, and this year will be August 31st, 2022. A lot of times parents like for their child, if their birthday's September 1st, they want to slide on in. We have a process for early initial enrollment that we can talk about at a later time. But these students who are 5 years old, we encourage them to go ahead and enroll in kindergarten and do it soon so that we'll know how many teachers need to be at each school, and we can provide the activities and services that those children need. It is very important for our children to be together, and they're in smaller numbers in kindergarten, and you usually have a teacher and an assistant. So there's a lot of interaction, a lot of socialization, and that hands-on they discover through play and just learn to work with others well.
Is the application process online?
The application process is online. It is now live. So you can go to caldwellschools.com, and there are 3 steps to enroll. The first thing is you have to enroll in Caldwell County Schools. So as a parent, you go in and create an account, and there are directions in the online portal that tell you on the website exactly what to do. You create your account and you complete the enrollment form. Then you, in the meantime, you get the appropriate documents such as a health screening, an immunization document, which you get from the health department, and proof of residency, which might be a utility bill, or an example is property tax. And our schools like to have a copy of the birth certificate. So all those things need to be completed and uploaded into the portal with the application. That gets you enrolled in Caldwell County Schools. And then the second step is, after that enrollment, in 24 hours, you can go back and visit your account again and complete the registration for kindergarten form. Now, if you are putting in for a transfer, then that's where the third step comes in, because you will have to enroll in Caldwell County Schools, then apply for a transfer, and then you go in and do the registration, and you will not have a seat to accept until after March 1st. So it gets a little complex with transfers, but it works smoothly, and that way, if we go ahead and enroll now, our schools know, and they know who to contact and get appointments set up for the kindergarten screening.
And it's critical for us to have that information as early as possible.
Yes,
because
sir.
our principals are having to make master schedules. They're having to determine what classroom makeups look like. They're having to determine whether they need to hire teachers or not. So the earlier we have that information, the better.
Absolutely.
What about the kindergarten screening process?
The kindergarten screening is done at the schools, and we have a set-aside time. Those are going to start in March, and it varies by school. We have a couple of more schools to give us their information, and then that's going to go public very soon. They're doing them anywhere from the middle of March to April 8th. So it's going to vary by individual site. But once this online enrollment is completed and the information gets to the data manager at the school, they then contact the parents and set up an appointment. So you accompany your child to kindergarten screening. They go through usually rotations, and the basic skills that they need, they're assessed on them just to see if they need additional support prior to. This is where we get a lot of our information for students that might qualify for Rising Stars, which is a precursor to kindergarten in the summer offered by PreK.
What is your goal as a director in the elementary area, and having been in education for a good bit, a veteran educator? What would the kindergarten experience, what do we desire for it to be?
We desire for our kindergarten experience to be a success for all children and for all parents, because a lot of times it's the first time you're letting your child go into someone else's care. So we want to make sure that we're communicating well, we're partnering together, and that we're doing what's best for our students. They're active, they're engaged, they're learning, they're having conversations, and they're just having an opportunity to set up a great career in education.
And we hope they're having fun in the process.
Absolutely.
All the way through every grade level
Yes.
that we have. But
Yes.
we're not preparing them for the ACT and the SAT in kindergarten, and we want folks to know that there's a fun component, but there's also that socialization, the structure that has to be in place, and we feel like it's very important.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add on the topic?
No, just if you have questions about the online enrollment, you can call your school, and if you do not have access to a computer, the schools will typically have a portal set up somewhere, or a computer set up, so that you can come in and fill out the paperwork. The data manager should be able to help you do that if you run into a problem. And then if you have any questions, you can reach out to the school. If you can't get the answers there, you can call and ask for me. And if I can't answer it, a lot of times I will defer to PreK. We work very closely together. But we've got a great process, and it's well planned out. The principals know what's happening and know what to expect. And I think our kindergarten teachers do a great job in welcoming our children. They're excited about what's coming.
And we're here to help. So
We are.
Families, parents, guardians, if you have a child who will turn 5 on or before the 31st of August of this year, we encourage you to go ahead and enroll, complete that registration process. If there's any help that you need, just reach out. We're here to help you. This concludes our episode today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next month.